Harvard wanted the truth until it got expensive. That's the whole story in one sentence. But let's beat the Ivy League corpse a little longer. In 2022, Harvard put on its Sunday best virtue face and said it was ready to reckon with its ties to slavery. They even threw $100 million at it like a kid tossing monopoly money at guilt. Legacy of slavery, they called it. Real solemn stuff. Committees, reports, memorial plans, big words like reparative justice. All the right moves to make the faculty lounge clap and the New York Times nod approvingly. But then a problem showed up with a magnifying glass and a spine. Richard Cellini. Cellini was a corporate lawyer turned historical bloodhound, a man hired to do a job, find the descendants of people enslaved by Harvard's founders, faculty, and donors. And guess what? He found them. Lots of them. Too many. Nearly 900 enslaved people and about 500 living descendants. That's not a reckoning. That's a liability. Suddenly, Harvard's commitment to truth hit a wall. And that wall was made of gold. $50.9 billion of it, to be exact. That's the size of Harvard's endowment, the biggest academic war chest on the planet. You'd think they could spare a few coins for the families whose ancestors built their ivory tower in chains. You'd think wrong. According to Cellini, he was warned, don't find too many. One administrator reportedly told him, unfortunately, you keep finding more slaves. Yes, that was the complaint. Not that they were enslaved, that they were found. That's like hiring a plumber and firing him for discovering your pipes are full of sewage. Let's pause and appreciate the absurdity. Harvard, the crown jewel of American intellectualism, the self-declared conscience of the elite class, got caught red-handed in the slave trade, and then tried to erase the receipts. Again, this isn't ancient history. Harvard didn't just benefit from slavery. It was built on it. Professors owned slaves. Presidents owned slaves. Students paid tuition with sugar harvested by slaves. The royal family, whose crest graced the law school seal until 2016, ran plantations in Antigua and Massachusetts, complete with child slaves like Cuba Vassell, who was 3 when she was dragged to Cambridge. And Harvard? They rewarded Royal with a professorship. He bought his way into immortality with blood money. That's not legacy. That's laundering. Let's do some math. In 1687, it was noted that nearly every house in Boston had enslaved people. Harvard had already admitted complicity in 2016. Cellini's team uncovered 900 enslaved individuals, more than 12 times Harvard's original figure. The Georgetown Memory Project, also led by Cellini, tracked 272 enslaved people and found over 10,000 descendants. Extrapolate that. Harvard isn't looking at a dozen apologies and a plaque. They're looking at thousands of people with claims to history, legacy, and possibly restitution. And that, my friends, is when the word reconciliation got tossed out the Harvard window. Let's talk rebuttals, because they're coming. This was centuries ago. So was the Declaration of Independence. You still celebrate that. It's not fair to blame today's Harvard. Today's Harvard still spends Royals' blood money, still owns the land, still names buildings after slaveholders, still fires the guy who tells the truth. Finding descendants doesn't mean you owe them anything. Tell that to every trust fund baby on that campus coasting on inherited wealth. Either legacy matters or it doesn't. The truth is, elite institutions don't mind talking about the past, as long as the past doesn't talk back. They'll acknowledge slavery the way Hollywood apologizes for casting Johnny Depp, through gritted teeth and PR consultants. What they fear isn't history, it's accountability. Harvard tried to atone for slavery the way a drunk tries to atone for a bar fight, by buying a round of drinks and hoping everyone forgets. But Cellini didn't forget. He kept digging, and for that, he got canned. That tells you everything. This isn't about reconciliation. It's about containment. It's about managing the fallout of truth. Harvard wanted a feel-good PR campaign, not a reckoning. They didn't hire a historian, they hired a janitor. And when he showed up with a spotlight instead of a broom, they panicked. They don't want justice. They want silence. But here's the good news. Truth doesn't stay buried forever. Not in Antigua, not in Boston, not even under Harvard Yard. And every time one of those names is uncovered, another stone falls from the Ivy Tower. You want legacy? Here it is. Harvard enslaved people. Harvard got rich off their backs. And when asked to face that truth, Harvard fired the messenger. Call it shame. Call it cowardice. Just don't call it justice.